Unnecessary intro song to totally waste your time. So, a number of people that I love and respect have been sending me videos, and the theme of them is the FBI is lying, the government is lying, the CIA is lying, Mossad is lying, and they're showing these videos of basically that anything that the FBI or government agencies say is a lie. And then they show proof that it's a lie, allegedly. The bullet didn't come from Tyler Robinson. There is no Tyler Robinson. He wasn't shot. The shot came from the ground, from below, from the right, from the left, from a guy with a palm pistol, from this, from that, And it's kind of mind-boggling to me, but the FBI has nobody to blame but themselves. The government has nobody to blame but themselves. There are millions of people now that simply, if the government says something, they just simply don't believe it. It doesn't matter if it's true. But we've gotten to a point where people don't believe it, even if it's true, even if there's proof, And I've been kind of trying to be patient with these people. I'm not a patient person. I'm not a good person. I'm not a smart person. There's no reason why you should be listening to me, but here I am recording anyway. But there's this thing. Despite all those things that I'm not, I am a human being, and I have been equipped with really advanced equipment, like crazy advanced equipment, like installed in my body. My eyes, wow. There's no camera on earth that has the resolution of my eyes. The quick focus ability. I am wearing glasses, by the way, so they're not perfect, but my nose, my stereo nose, my stereo eyes, I can see the depth of things. I can judge just because my eyes are a little bit far apart. I can tell what's far away and what's close. And smells, I can smell the direction something comes because a smell particle, a poo particle hits my left nostril first, and I know that somebody on my left farted. Ears, I heard the fart too. And I saw the person squint and their sheepish grin as the air poo, leaked from their bum. Crazy technology I have. I can stand there and I can turn my head, swivel. The gimbal on my neck is insane. Got little fingers. I can reach out and grab his neck, strangle him for farting and pretending it wasn't him. I got a million different senses to navigate through reality. And I've got 50 years of navigating through reality to help me decipher the liars that fart and say they didn't fart from the people who own their farts. Okay? A lot of farting's been going on. And I'm pretty good at finding out who did it. Who made the fart. High quality equipment. But guess what? You have that equipment too. You have that equipment too. It's kind of baffling to me that people don't use the equipment that they're given to navigate reality and understand fact from fiction. But, I can understand it because our education system and the system of everything is designed to get you to not use your equipment, your onboard equipment, and instead use your imagination. maybe just one sense, your eyeballs looking at a stream or a series of characters on a page, squiggly lines that are words, you know. Don't use your senses, just let me drive your imagination. Let me tell you why what you saw with your own eyes isn't true. Don't believe your lying eyes. Don't believe your lying ears. And your nose, do not believe your nose. Because who you think farted did not fart. Somebody else farted. Somewhere in a faraway land. And you will never catch them. It's a committee of farters. It's not the guy sitting next to you. It's not the person in the elevator right next to you. No. It's a mysterious agency of farters. It's the FBI. The FBI is the one that's implanting the stink into your nose. The stink isn't even there. There was no stink. Nobody farted. It's a false fart. A false flag fart. Don't trust your senses. And that's what's happening, you know? I watched the video. You watched the video. I wasn't there. I went to school there. I grew up in Utah. I was subject to the same teachings as Tyler Robinson. Went to the same classes, maybe, as the shooter. I grew up, I was a preacher like Charlie. Wasn't as good at it, you know, but I did it. I went door to door proclaiming the word of Jesus, you know. I shot deer with rifles. Mine was a 30-30, but my stepdad owned a 30-06, very nice rifle, wood. It wasn't painted black like Tyler's grandpa's rifle, but it was roughly the same shape, and boy, did it pack a punch on my little 14-year-old shoulder. I was a skinny kid. The 30-30 lever action was more my style. But that sound, that's the sound of my childhood. You know, deer hunting. It's the sound of my childhood. It's like, you know, sometimes you wake up and you smell the air and you go, oh, your memory floods back to one moment. You know, for me, sometimes it's usually a bad memory, a melancholic memory at least, you know, because I'm not super nostalgic. But that sound and that look of that bullet hitting Charlie was instantly, I said, well, he's dead. And my thought, deer rifle, that sound. You know, and honestly, I know it sounds like it's very convenient for me to say, but I wasn't thinking my 30-30. I was thinking my stepdad's 30-06, you know. So anyway, so I wasn't like, and just watching him, you know, the first deer I shot was about from the same distance. Maybe a little bit shorter, but it was also had the same trajectory. I was on a hill. The deer was closer to the bottom of the gully. There wasn't an exit wound. The blood came out the same kind of way. And the deer fell dead the same way. It took me a minute to walk across the little ravine to get to the deer, and I looked at the deer and his eyes were open. I felt sad, and I thought about the deer not getting home to its Flintstone cave. The baby deer were waiting for Dad to come home. But he was dead instantly, and I thought about that. I thought, he's dead instantly. And I thought the same thing when I saw Charlie get killed. I thought, he's dead. He's not coming back from that. I mean, we all held out hope when they started reporting that they got a pulse and blah, blah, blah. But I was thinking, no. Called my friend Andrew. We both said the same thing. No way. Not coming back from that. You know, that's my senses built over a lifetime. You know, I saw it from multiple angles. many angles, and I've been at large crowds. I've been in large crowds. I promoted concerts at that very school, not on that quad, but at that very school, you know? So I know what it's like to get a group of people together and a whole bunch of people together. I don't know what it's like when every one of them has a camera like they do now. But so it's not surprising to me that a whole bunch of people get together and do something. But the videos that people are sending me right now and the arguments are of such a level of denial that they're almost. One person sent me and said, I don't even know if the whole thing happened. It could have been AI. Okay. Except for I know somebody that was there, their stepson. I know a woman that I'm friends with on Facebook sent me a video that her stepson recorded, and he was basically front row to the south, no, to the west of Charlie, you know? I haven't seen that video anywhere else. I think she's only shared it privately. But it's horrific. The whole thing's horrific. So I don't have a hard time. I've gone beyond belief that it happened. It doesn't require belief. I just go, yeah, it happened. You can transfer over from belief to yeah, it happened, because you can have confirmed sources over and over again. Unless, of course, if somebody wants me to believe, if they want me to believe that every person, you know, my friends, they're all in on it. Everybody's in on it. And I'm the one person that's being fooled by all of it. There's this grand design. It's the Truman Show, and I'm Jim Carrey. Okay, yeah, I'm not going to believe that. Sorry. I'm using my senses. And I know what I saw. I know what I've seen every time I've shot an animal. You know? I know the way a shockwave... In fact, but forget that. I know what it looks like to throw a rock across the pond, you know, and skip it. Sometimes you get it to skip, sometimes you don't. Sometimes the water seems like it's totally a hard piece of glass, and other times, plonk, the rock goes straight in. Sometimes a big rock, bounces off of the water. Sometimes it goes into the water. Sometimes it goes to the bottom of the water, hits another rock, and flies somewhere else. You know? You ever drop something in the water when you're on a boat? You think it should be right below you, but because of the way the thing is shaped, it ends up 20 feet away because the current and this and that and movement. You know? You ever shot BBs into Jell-O and wondered why some of them come out the other side and some of them don't because they hit a bone and they ricochet? You know? All my senses for years and years have been building little pieces. So, you know, when people send me a video of, no, he wasn't shot from the front, it wasn't a rifle, it was a pistol, and he was shot from the left, and, you know, it came from above, and I'm like, yeah, except for I saw it. I saw the video. And I saw everybody turn around because they had these little stereo ears. Amazing how we can locate a sound. If you're in a quiet room and you hear a mouse, you turn towards where you hear the sound because you have stereo ears. And I saw a whole crowd of people turn around to where the sound of the shot came from. Behind them. You know? You know, bless her heart, Candace is going through a lot of shit. A lot of people are going through a lot of shit. The government has lied to us so often and so much that whenever they say something, it's almost safe to assume that it's a lie, except for when they're telling the truth. And if you get to the point where you've decided to abandon your senses simply because somebody you don't like is agreeing with you, it's kind of like the Trump derangement syndrome. You know, there's people taking Tylenol because Trump said not to, you know, proudly doing it. I'm getting that from friends and family right now. You know, they're ignoring obviously true things because they don't like who's giving them the true things, you know? And I kind of get that. It's kind of like the flat earthers. They're so upset with the people that have lied to them that now anything that they got from that source, or they think they got from that source, they just automatically just reject it now. That's not skepticism. That's not questioning. That's just simply denying. It's really just denying your own ability to discern reality. That's really what it is. It's a denial of your own senses. When somebody else comes in and says, oh, well, I have the real truth, proof, and then they're just coming in and really what the effect of this is, and the part that kind of makes me angry about this, and I'm not going to castigate all these people as being nefarious. I don't know if Candace is being nefarious. I think when I look at Candace, I think pride goeth before the fall. People get so addicted to the story that they write. When something happens, we have a tendency to tell ourselves a story about it. There's empty spots. We don't have information, so we fill them in. And if we're humble and honest and whatever, we don't dig in our heels to our initial stories. We just go, okay, well, I don't have this information. Maybe it could be that. Speculate, speculate, speculate. Oh, well, here's something. Okay, that makes sense. That fits with the story, But if it's just like, no, that the FBI lied, so if they're the ones that showed me the picture of Tyler, then it must be it's a Ukrainian soldier, 2 different guys. Yeah, but his parents turned him in. Oh, they're in on it. Okay. Bishop's in on it too. Yeah. Governor Cox. Okay, all of them. Is Erica in on it? Did Erica spend time with her husband's body and not notice a hole above his ear? Is she that? Was she? Is because she had tears in her eyes that she didn't notice? Or was he shot with a rifle from the front? And the guy ran off after he shot. And he climbed off the building and he hid the rifle like I would do. I can't be walking around with this rifle. Somebody's going to spot me. I'll just chuck it over here and I'll come get it later. I'm hungry. I got to go to get something to eat. There's Dairy Queen right there. I don't really like Dairy Queen, but I don't know. I need a Frosty Freeze. But no, FBI is the one that gave it, so we don't trust it. No. Who set up the interview? Oh, that little girl. We don't trust the little girl that was there. It's just, I get it. I get the thrashing. I get they're trying to rewrite the story into some evil, twisted plot of people far away, demons far away that we can't get, to relieve ourselves of responsibility, to relieve ourselves from our own responsibility of using our own senses. Really. I'm off the hook. That's kind of the way I'm looking at these things. I don't know. I can't quite explain why these people are so skeptical of evidence. I asked one of my family members that was skeptical. I said, but would you believe anything? Like you're asking why we don't have, or why they haven't given an autopsy report, a full autopsy report, or why haven't they showed us the bullet? And I'm like, but would you believe it if they did? Because it sounds like you wouldn't. Sounds like if they came out with a bullet, you'd just say, that's not the bullet. This expert over here said it wasn't. He said it's this. It's a palm pistol. It's this. Look at this. Does it matter? It's like at a certain point, I just go, well, it sounds like there's nothing they could say that would work, because who is it? Well, it's this guy on the roof. Okay, there's camera. Okay, but well, no. That's a patsy. That's a patsy. Okay, so we can't agree on that. Now where do we go? We don't have his name. We're looking for him. Oh, we found him. Who? His parents turned him in. I don't believe it. What parents would turn in their kid? Okay, so we can't agree on that. You know, at what point? At what point? It's like, how can you even have a conversation with somebody if they are so dedicated to objecting anything that comes through what they call a discredited source, the FBI or the government? Look, I'm just taking a long way to say you've got the equipment. You use your eyes, you use your ears. You stay focused. Doesn't matter if your enemy, if you're the worst liar in the world is enjoying an ice cream cone, he's probably not lying about that. Not everything is a lie. You know, and stay vigilant. Ask the questions. I mean, it's perfectly reasonable to say, I'd like to see the bullet, please. You know, I'd like to see the bullet. I'd like to see the autopsy report. I'd like to be able to check to see if this guy that made the autopsy report is a upstanding member of his community. You know, fine, do it. But you have to ask yourself, are you going to believe it then? Or are you going to not? Because for a lot of these people that I'm hearing, they're just committed, seemingly committed to rejecting anything that doesn't align with whatever story that they've written or whatever story somebody else has written for them. You know? And of course, these people will tell me, well, you weren't there, you don't know. And I go, yeah, I wasn't there, but I've been there. I've had events. I've been to events, I've been to many concerts where people pull out their phones and they record from many angles. And you don't see every video online. You see some of them online. Most people's videos just stay in their phone. You know, but they're all out there. The people are out there if you ask questions. But if you allow yourself to be, if you allow others to separate you from your own senses, if whatever they're telling you requires your imagination instead of your recall and your experience, you know, if they're asking you to imagine this, especially if they're trying to get you to imagine something very bleak about the future, that's the thing I would caution you against. If somebody's coming to you with a bleak, dark prediction of the future, and they're using scary music, and they're using all kinds of tactics, diagrams, and this and that, and they're trying to get you to doubt your own senses and to replace those with an imaginary story that's dark and scary and inevitable. I'm telling you, you've got better things you could be doing with your time. You know, Occam's razor. Sorry to drop that. Maybe some of you don't know what it is, some others do. It's just, I couldn't even tell you. I don't know why I say it. It's easier to say than the simplest story is usually the best story. Fuck Occam, whoever he was. You know? You used your sniffer. The guy was farting to your left. He had that look of a farter on his face. You smelled it from that direction. You heard it from that direction. Everybody else in the elevator also heard the fart coming from the corner. You know? Use your senses, people. You're magical creatures. Literally, every one of you is a magical, amazing piece of technology that's more advanced than any other technology that you can see currently. You can look at your phone, you can look at anything. You are more amazing than that. I swear to you, your senses are better, your eyeballs are better, your earballs are better, your experience in the world is better because these little robots and these little computers and these little whatever, they haven't navigated. They didn't come out of a mom. They weren't raised. They didn't go to school. They didn't have all the interactions that you've had. They didn't climb hills. They didn't scrape their knees. They didn't almost drown at Sandy Beach. They didn't catch a fish. They didn't hunt a deer. Use your senses. Your first reaction is probably the best reaction. You heard the fart, you turned. You knew who farted. Everybody at that event knew where the sound came from, with the exception of maybe people that were sitting in a corner where the refractions are a little bit strange. There are little corners if you're sitting in a triangle room where there can be some, auditory illusions, but not for everybody. And everybody else turned and looked to the source of the sound. And the bullet hit Charlie like it hit my first deer. And he bled the same way, and he kind of was pushed up and out of his seat and to the left, just as you would expect if you shot him in the neck, or punched him in the neck, or kicked him in the neck. But his head went forward. No, his head didn't go forward. His neck went backwards, and his head folded. Looks like it's going forward, but really it's just going down. It's following the path of the neck. The neck is going back. It's like a tail on a kite. But anyway, I can feel some of you just going, yeah, no, they're lying. And why do you believe it? How do you believe in the official narrative? 9/11, everything else, JFK, every lie that they've told. Don't believe the narrative. Okay, I'm not believing the narrative. I'm trusting my senses. My senses. Not the FBI's senses, not the CIA's senses, not Erica's senses, mine. Okay? Anyway, but again, there's nobody to blame for this more than the government and these people that have lied repeatedly over the years. And you know what? I had this conversation with my younger brother. He said, you can't just change it by firing people. And I agree. I totally agree. You can't just... The rot within the FBI and these agencies is so... The cancer, the globalist cancer, the anti-American cancer is so strong that you just got to get rid of it. But this is what Donald, Mr. Trump, Cheeto, here's what I think you should do as I backseat drive from my little apartment. Just start a new agency. This is what you do. You can't just disband the FBI, right? That's not going to happen. People are going to be in your way. All hell's going to break loose. So what you do is you start a new agency. You call it the, something else. The FBJ, which comes after FBI. And you start hiring people, good people that love America, nationalists, American nationalists, because if you're going to have a nation, you got to have a nationalist. If you're going to have a nation, you can't have a globalist, because globalists don't like nations. So if we're going to continue to have a nation, we need to have nationalists in charge. People that believe in the concept of having a nation from the beginning. Because if you don't, you're an enemy. And currently, most of the U.S. government is filled with globalists, not nationalists. So we need to move away from them. They're enemies of our nation. Okay, very simple. So you start up a new agency, you start moving over one by one, hiring from anybody that's good in the FBI, you can pull them over if you want. Or you can just start hiring, and once you get to a certain point, you just let the FBI die. You stop funding it, you stop hiring, it fizzles away, it gets replaced by an FBI with a nationalist intent. You can do the same thing with the CIA. Start a new thing. We don't need the old thing. The old thing isn't to be trusted. It cannot be trusted. It shouldn't be trusted. The credibility is gone. It's completely gone. Okay? Nobody trusts it. The left doesn't trust it either. Nobody trusts it. It's gone. The trust is gone. You have to start something new. That's your responsibility, Mr. Trump. I know you listen to my little recordings. Anyway, I'm sure he's way ahead of us on this kind of thing. But yeah, don't let the stink of the FBI infect your ability to know who farted. That's all I'm saying. Okay? Figure it out yourself. Get your sniffer out. Get your sniffer out. Sniff around, look around, and listen to what you hear. Anyway. You can do it. I promise you. Thanks for listening. Unnecessary outro song.